I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're exploring the transformative power of faith with Keith Bennett and his compelling memoir, Do You See Living by Faith? A master martial artist and dedicated chaplain, Keith shares personal stories of triumph over adversity, offering a powerful testament to the impact of unwavering faith. This book is a guide to overcoming life's challenges with strength, resilience, and spiritual insight. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. And don't forget to download the Spotlight TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Keith, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to this. This is great.
I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm a big fan of the martial arts because I grew up watching Kung Fu, like all of us on Grasshopper, and playing in the schoolyard. But you've gone from just watching it on TV to actually doing it. Tell us a little bit about the arts that you practice and some of those tools that we see behind you.
I studied about 5 styles, but Tong Soo Do is the current style that I study. I'm an 8th degree in Tong Soo Do. I've been in the martial arts around 49 years. And those cute tools behind me are martial arts weapons.
Yep.
Their size and swords. And, we do 3 other weapons on top of that so that we teach.
Wonderful.
So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great journey so far. And I'm continuing that journey.
And it keeps you in shape, which is great as well. You've been doing this for about 50 years, a half a century now, and you look great. And that's wonderful. So is that a Chinese martial art that you study?
Tong Soo Do,
Yeah.
from the Tang Dynasty, but it's in Korea.
Okay.
So it went from China and then, came over to Korea. And it's one of the first martial arts of Korea.
Okay, wonderful. And you're also a man of faith. Tell us a
time.
little bit about your spiritual journey.
It's interesting, and it's throughout the book. Spiritual, I like what you just said, spiritual journey. Mine's a spiritual journey. Everything I see is faith. I'm very fortunate to get up every day. I have a lot of gratitude, and I serve a lot. I enjoy serving our community. Faith for me is about service to the community and following my spiritual path. And that's it. Everyone has a path. My purpose is to serve.
Tell us about your work as a chaplain.
Oh, that's great. Chaplain Chaplain Fellowship Ministries is something I found. It was a veteran-run organization, and most of my work has all been with veterans, and I enjoy continuing to help veterans in any way I can. But I walk on the streets, and I'm always out there doing a walk in the community. Whether it's with homeless shelters, children's homes, whatever it is that I'm called to do, I'm out there doing it, and I continue to work with veterans organizations.
Wonderful. Has your career been in the ministry, or has this become part of your life during your later years? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, that's really interesting. And I did talk about that in the book. As a child, church got me through a lot of stuff. I had a very hard childhood. It was pretty abusive. And then, but every Sunday I'd go to church. And it's kind of fun. Some of the stuff I learned in church, wasn't all churchly, but it was a good time. But that kept me strong in my faith. But it was more than that. It was a connection. It was a very strong connection at that time, and I needed it as a young person going through, a lot of adversity as a kid. Yeah. And so I continued, and then of course through my military, it's just all been spiritual, and everything that came to this day has aligned me with my faith. The chaplain is a little bit different than a denomination. You try to get well versed in as much as you can to help everyone. And that's really what my goal is to bring everybody to a place of service and helping each other, love, respect, all the things that we really need to do to help others.
Yeah, certainly at a time of need, you turn to a chaplain. It doesn't really matter whether they're a priest, a reverend, or rabbi. You want a person of the cloth at that point, a man or a woman of God, to help you during your trying times. And
it's been a great experience, and it just happens, if that makes any sense. It's kind of a calling. You get a call, or you're walking on the streets and there's somebody there that needs some help. It just happens. And
Yeah.
I follow it. I follow my intuition. I follow what God tells me to do. I think that's the best way to tell you. If it comes in my head, it's going to happen. And I have to say, my wife is the same way. We give. If somebody needs a buck on the streets, I give it to them. I don't question why.
Yeah.
Other people would say, well, they're going to use it for this or use it for that. I say that dollar might get them through the night.
Yeah. They might use it for food.
And
Maybe
then,
they'll use it for drugs, maybe they'll use it for alcohol, but maybe they'll use it for food that night, right?
whatever they're using it for, perhaps that's going to get them through the night. And then once I establish a relationship with these people, then maybe I can, get them to go to, we have a great little church here that really works with the poor. And I try to get them to that church, and they do drug addiction, drug addiction like AA, NA, all of those kind of programs right at that church. And I try to, get people to go to those things.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about your book, Do You See Living by Faith? Let's give the folks at home an overview of the book.
Okay, here we go. So in 1995, this is a long time ago, I know. But
seems like it was just yesterday.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah. Our martial arts school was one of the biggest in the world. One of the biggest. And the powerhouse IBM was in our community at that time. And then they decided to leave Little Kingston, New York. So I call it, my hero to zero, my financial fall from grace, I call it. And I went from, all kinds of money, houses, cars, the wrong wife, all kinds of stuff. And I lost it all. Lost everything. I had no material stuff left, nothing. And I dropped down on my knees, cried, and I did, and looked up and said, what do you want me to do now? I had offers around the world to help build schools around the world. And I just said, no, I can't leave the community now. This is the worst time to leave it. I mean, it was ripped, it was gutted. And I needed to stay here and be part of it and continue being part of the community and help it get, move forward. And that's what I decided to do. And as time went on, some miracles started happening, one after the other. And, I met my beautiful wife. We're still together almost 30 years. I continued to have these things happen. And, I got people came to me asking me to work for them. I'm going, okay. I had an opportunity in a hospital. I handed out 28,000 teddy bears, but that was my little not-for-profit I made. I enjoyed that. That brought me closer to, the sick, the people that really needed help one-on-one, and they would get teddy bears, every one of them. And I did that once a week in the hospital, and I loved doing it. And again, I handed out thousands. And then the CEO came to me and said, Keith, why don't you come work for me? And then I ended up having 3 different director jobs that they offered me all at once. I'm going, okay, this could be good. And at the same time, I had my martial arts school and just continued. And this is what went on. And then all these wonderful things happened. And I have a horse, Logan. Now that was a great thing. My wife goes to me, when are you going to get your horse? I'm going, what? She says, you've always talked about a horse. So I have a big, beautiful horse. He's in the book, by the way. And his name is D'Artagnan. And then about a year and a half ago, I got cancer. And so I looked up and said, here we go. Now, this is a real test now. I mean, don't get me wrong. I lost all my stuff. But then all of a sudden, somebody telling me you have cancer, it's like, okay. Yeah. I smiled and I said to my wife, well, I'll be fine. I'll get through this. I talked to the Lord and I said, I knew I was going to be fine. I had, the surgery had to cut out and I'm fine today. And, I still continue to believe that. And, my walk with the Lord, my walk with my faith, it's a walk. And spirituality is a little different, I think, Logan, because you're seeing everything you see is God, whether it's beautiful trees. I live right in the woods and right in my backyard are all these animals and everything I see. It's, it's the beauty of God. It's everything is there to be grateful for. And so to me, it's all inspiring and every day is inspiring that I can wake up and do a walk and see where's it going to lead me today. Some people, you hear them say, well, it's the same old thing. I don't think any day is the same old thing, because we're always led to serve and help others. And who knows what the heck you're going to do, right? I mean, even you, all the different things you've done, you just don't know. I mean, it's an incredible journey. And then my 3 sons, my daughter, they asked me to write about my childhood. And I said, okay, so I started with a big fall from financial grace. And then all of a sudden, I stopped and I started back from my childhood up, all the way from my childhood through my military, through my martial arts, and then all the lessons in life I've learned. So it's a memoir, but it's got great lessons that I've learned, that I've shared, that maybe others can try to do. And I think that if they do, I think it would help them.
Yeah.
And I really believe that, because I look on Amazon at all the testimonials or all the reviews, and I got plenty of them now. It's like, wow. And they're all 5-star. It's pretty amazing. And I talked to a lieutenant colonel yesterday, a retired lieutenant colonel that read my book. And he was just, wow, it's like, oh, thank you. I'm very humbled.
Yeah.
The idea to write the book came from all these wonderful things were happening. And I said, I have to start writing. And that was 10 years ago. This book came out this year. 10 years ago, I started writing. And then if I finished it, I went through a few editors. That's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Finding the right one. And I did.
Yeah.
And it ended up being such a wonderful experience. And even look at this. This is amazing to me. I'm talking to Logan, so it's pretty incredible. I'm having this conversation with you, and I thank you.
Well, I thank you because I appreciate your story, your insight, your candor. I think people are relating to your story because it has the highs and the lows, the suffering that all of us go through.
Yes.
I mean, on one level or another. I mean, I think you were talking about having a tough childhood before. I mean, I think a lot of kids growing up in our era, I think we're about the same age, got smacked around by the parents. That's just how it was. They thought they were doing their job. They didn't know any better. You know what I mean? That's part of it too.
When I first came to Kingston, New York, the first thing I did is I wanted to do everything with moms and children. I was dragged through the welfare system as a kid. I knew what they go through, so I jumped right into the homeless shelters, and of course, I'll continue that for the rest of my life. But anything with children and what they go through in our martial arts school, we've had thousands and thousands come through this school. I've been here for 36 years. This school, but thousands, and so we've changed a lot of lives here, and I'm very grateful to have been a person to be able to do that.
Yeah, and it's great that I think the martial arts are nearly as important as faith, particularly in a young man's life, because it teaches you respect, it teaches you discipline, and it teaches you that you have to keep on trying no matter how many times you fail. You got to pick yourself up, you got to keep going until you break that board. And you have to go to the next level and the next level and the next level. So I think it's great. My sons all took martial arts when they were growing up.
I love hearing
they
that.
had stuck with it. They did great in Taekwondo. But it's hard sometimes keeping them in it past a certain age. But they did learn a lot during that time. Let's talk a little bit about what advice you have for someone who's struggling to find faith in the difficult times in their lives.
Wow, to find faith. I think the best way, when I was going through the worst time, when I literally lost everything, I got out of myself and I went out and found, who can I serve? What can I do? And that's what I did. I mean, I got out there, I was walking on the streets, I was down in the homeless shelters, anywhere that I could get out and serve. I think that's the best way. Get out of yourself.
Yeah.
Get out of your mind. Get out, think about it. We can lose stuff.
Yeah.
But if you have your health, you really have everything. It's
Exactly.
Such a true thing. And, when I lost everything, at first it was kind of hard. And I got out there serving people, and all the miracles started occurring, and all the things that I thought I needed, I didn't need anymore. The people that left me were supposed to leave.
Yeah.
I was holding on too tight to the wrong people. So sometimes, we have to turn it around, because everything we think sometimes maybe isn't the way to think. Maybe it's the other way. Some people have said, something always comes better. Well, I believe that can happen if you have true faith.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can have doubt and let that negative bring you down, and really you're going the wrong direction, or you're settling for mediocrity, or woe is me. I've never done woe is me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in that. I just don't believe in it. I believe in, you got to stay strong, move forward.
Yeah.
And you can. You just have to believe it and do it. Take one step. Always move forward. Remember your past, but don't bring it with you. If that makes
Yeah.
any sense.
No,
Just
absolutely.
remember it
Makes
though.
a great sense. Let's talk before we leave today about the title of your book. Do you see living by faith? What do you mean by that?
Do you see? Seeing is your spirit. Do you see? Do you see? Do you see? Did you ever look in somebody's eyes, Logan, and know? Do you see? Do you really see? Are you really doing that? Are you seeing? Are you blocked? Are you seeing what's forward? Are you seeing the world around you? A lot of people aren't aware of anything. They'll drive from point A to point B and say, "Oh, I'm finally there." Right?
Exactly. Yeah, they're in a fog. It's kind of by remote control. They're not paying
Do you
attention to
do you
anything. Yeah.
see? Do
Yeah.
you really see? Because if you really see, there's an abundance around you at all times. You're so
Yeah.
fortunate. We're fortunate. We're blessed to be still here to talk about it. So do you see, and do you live by faith? Faith is hope in something greater than you, and knowing and trusting it 100%. That little thing you hear in your head to go do something, if you hear it and it's positive, do it.
Yeah.
Don't deny it. Do it. And you'll always, it just works.
Yeah.
It's like a magic switch. Follow what's in your heart. Follow it. But first, make sure you have a purpose. You got to have a purpose. What's your purpose? I don't care what it is. And then, do you see living by faith and embrace everything and see it, see what's around you, see it, and then live it in your heart, in your soul. And really, that's the best I can give it to you.
Well, you did a great job, better than I could. You summed it up perfectly, and it's a terrific book, folks. The name of the book, as we just said, is Do You See Living by Faith? It is written by a master martial artist and a dedicated chaplain. Keith, in the book, shares personal stories of triumph over adversity, offering a powerful testament to the impact of unwavering faith. This book is a guide to overcoming life's challenges with strength, resilience, and spiritual insight. Keith, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Logan, thank you. God bless you. And, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
I appreciate it. God bless you, sir. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.